when you play Frontline, you're going to want to equip your tank differently than a random battle. You have various crew skills. You have obviously these different modules. You have equipment. You have your rounds. You have your consumables. You have directives. You have your combat reserves. I do not do it the same way as I would for a random battle. For example, I use Camo Nets on many tanks in Frontline, which I do not use in random battles. You want to prioritize anything that's going to be useful for long range fighting. Another example is there is equipment for your tracks to make them more durable, and what I would do is I would use it on my light tanks, the enhanced suspension. And the reason why is because I was jumping off of a lot of cliffs, and I wanted to have that extra durability of being able to jump off of any ridge that I wanted to, because you can escape a lot of battles. You know, you go shoot somebody and then you jump off the side of the cliff and get away. And I went through a period, it was probably during the sandbox mode, where I was using that standard issue on all of my light tanks, and it definitely makes a difference, but you really have a hard time choosing what you're going to use. Another example is you might not use the repair kits very often in Frontline. The first aid kit I almost never use, and the repair kits I'm almost never using, so why carry them? I use fuel on a lot of my tanks, and I don't use the food consumables, but it's one of the things that you can use as an alternative. So definitely equip your tanks differently. Also for your crew, you're going to want to equip it for fast gameplay. For example, camouflage might not be as important, or maybe it is. You know, I guess repairs might take on a different usefulness. You know, I've been playing wheeled vehicles. Having repair crew skills on a wheeled vehicle is way more important than having it on a tracked light tank. It makes a huge difference in the game. So equip your tanks differently. It might mean changing the way you equip your tanks, and you might have to put some money down to change the way you to change your crew skills. There's a piece of equipment called the Binocular Telescope, which we refer to as Binocs. I highly do not recommend this in Frontline mode. I tried it. Probably 2 years ago when they did the sandbox. I was one of the sandbox beta testers. And I tried it, and they really don't work for a couple reasons. Number one, you need to remain still in order to use the binocs, and it's very difficult to remain still because the enemy team, if they're assaulting, they advance very quickly. And you really need it on the defending team. If you're on the attacking team, you really might not use it that often unless you're a sniper. And if you're a sniper, yeah, I guess maybe the binocs are good if you're sniping. But even so, I tried it using light tanks, and it was just a total disaster and a total waste of time. You can't sit still enough for these to be effective, and you're constantly moving around. That's just part of the game because of the wide open map. So I don't recommend binocular telescopes. If you are sniping, I would say that, yeah, maybe it could be useful, but a lot of sniping is going to be beyond your spotting range anyway. So you're going to find that they're not as useful as you might think. I use a Camo Net on a large number of my tanks. Pretty much all of my tank destroyers and all of my light tanks, and maybe even my medium tanks, all have Camo Nets for Frontline. And the reason why is because you're going to get spotted a lot less often if you have that Camo Net. This particular tank has the Camo Net. And even though most of the tanks are outside of his range, there's going to be lots of situations when you're sniping and they're within range. And you want to make sure that Camo Net is turned on before you start firing. So there's going to be a lot of situations where it's going to be useful, and it's more relevant in this game than other equipment.